time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs, going above and beyond for you. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Since 1970, you've never had it so good. And Eagle, our community connected. Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And a good Wednesday afternoon, and welcome into Tiger Talk. We are live at the Robins Center inside the Fort Hays State University campus, part of Tiger Club. We're certainly glad to have you with us here today. Another big crowd here inside the Robins Center with Tiger Club. You can always join us by joining Tiger Club. It's pretty simple. Contact the athletic office, and your $100 Tiger Club entry fee goes to scholarships for Fort Hays State student athletes, and then you can join us on Wednesdays for lunch, and good cordon bleu today. So good menu items to join us and be here live with the program. Of course, if you're listening, we'd love to have you participate by sending us a question. We had a few more sent in this week that we're going to get to as the program rolls along. All you have to do is go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website, fhsuathletics.com. You'll see the fans tab. You'll get a drop-down menu. When you click on it, you'll see Ask the Coach. Submit your question there. And if we use it, you'll have a chance to win a T-shirt from the Fort Hays State Athletic Office. We had some good questions last week. Had a few more sent to us this week, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. Another good program. We're going to talk some wrestling. Eric Wintz will join us here in just a little bit. We'll talk women's basketball with Talia Cars, men's basketball with Mark Johnson. Both teams coming off a big road win at Nebraska Kearney Saturday, and a big week this week. Tigers back at home tomorrow night. The Washburn Ichabods are in town. 5:30 and 7:30 key MIAA games there, and then Saturday afternoon it's the Emporia State Hornets. So rivalry week. Fort Hays State 4 consecutive games with their traditional rivals. Started with Pitt State, then Nebraska Kearney, now Washburn and Emporia State all in a row. So it should be a lot of fun. Hope to see a big crowd out of Gross Memorial Coliseum tomorrow night. All right, we're going to get right into it. We've got wrestling coach Eric Wintz now. They did not have any meets or tournaments last weekend. We talked about it. A bit of a stretch here with no competition as far as outside competition, but that's going to change this weekend. The Tigers on the road. They'll be in Wichita to take on Newman tomorrow night at 7, and then Sunday in Warrensburg, Missouri, Ouachita Baptist and Central Missouri as the conference dual race gets hot and heavy. And with that, we bring in Coach Eric Wintz. Thanks for joining us again today. No meets or anything to talk about, but how'd practice go? I know you said you kind of altered it a little bit with the long break, but how'd things go last week for everybody?
They were up and down. It's like about every 2 or 3 days we get a guy picked off with the flu bug. So it's hitting everybody. It hit my house earlier this week. So now it's like one day one guy tells me he's running a fever of 101, and then he gets better, and then 2 days later I get another guy with the fever, and we're even kicking guys out of practice because we're like, if you don't feel good, go away. We can't have that running through the team during this time of year. So we're just really trying to make sure everybody's staying hydrated and trying to eat healthy and keep all their energy levels up and try to keep the bugs out.
You see that in team sports because teams, they do so much together, and it's hard once that goes through, and it happens every year. You can do everything to try to prevent it, but it cycles through. But I think wrestling, just the nature of the sport would be even worse because everybody's in close proximity, and then there's wrestling. Yeah. You're really in close proximity.
Yeah, and then especially this first week of school back, my guys that are living in the dorms seem to be getting hit harder than the guys that are off campus because they got a little bit more controlled environment off campus. Mm-hmm. You get all these kids coming back to school from home, and they're it's like one giant petri dish. Yeah. So it's been tough, but I think we're getting close to being over it. I'm hoping. So going into tomorrow and Sunday, I think we should be in pretty good shape.
We'll get into those duels here in just a little bit. Anything particular that you worked on? You had that a lot of good competition right before the break, and then right after the trip to California and everything there in Colorado School of Mines. Anything specific that you tried to hone on and focus during this stretch?
Yeah, just being cleaner. We've kind of proven that we can get to anybody's legs, or we can get to scoring attacks. We just sometimes struggle finishing. A lot of that's due to our youth. We're going to be starting, I think, 6 underclassmen the rest of the season, and so those guys, they're freshmen or redshirt freshmen, are so used to being so much better than everybody else coming out of high school that finishes, getting to a leg and finishing has been pretty easy for them. So now they're getting to these situations where you're having to get to second, third, fourth level finishes when guys are getting weird, or guys there's bigger, stronger, better athletes and better at wrestling, so you're not able to dominate through the finish like they have been coming through high school. So we've been working a lot on getting to our offense, and then our partner really forcing us to get to those next 3-4 levels, so we can get in the habit of the guy's not just going to fall down when you grab his leg. You're going to have to work a whole lot harder to finish, and so that's what we've been working on, and just staying strong with the basics and taking advantage of the opponent's mistakes and getting to our offense and making sure we're finishing clean so we can avoid the weird positions that would seem to get us in trouble.
Well, like all freshmen, there's a learning curve regardless of talent level at all sports, and you kind of have to go through it a little bit to experience it, but they all seem to make that adjustment. We'll talk about the duels coming up tomorrow and then over the weekend. We did have a question sent in, and basically it's duel season rather than tournament season. I know we've kind of discussed this a little bit, but do you go about preparation any differently in the second half of the year compared to what you do maybe the first half before the holiday break?
Yeah, we still have to kind of keep in mind that the national qualifier is a tournament style. Mm-hmm. It's not based off of dual meets, not based off of conference at all. We have our regional. So, but going into these dual meets, we're really focused on, what each individual needs to be conscious of going, with their opponents. And then a lot of teams have styles that we talked about this with San Francisco and Mines about how they like to roll around. And, the next couple of teams we're going to wrestle are, they're not super aggressive, like the last couple of teams have been. So we're really focusing on, pushing the pace and trying to, the longer the match goes, the better off we're going to be. So we, really working on our cardio and making sure that we're able to go 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, if a match happens to go into overtime, that we can sustain that high intensity throughout that whole match. And a lot of these teams we're getting ready to wrestle we're going to hang back. They're going to try to catch us, not with the scrambling so much, but, they're going to try to just hit little simple defensive scores on us and try to get on top and do their thing on top. So we got to work real hard on just making sure we're fundamentally sound, and as we go into the tournament season, we're still doing some tournament simulation stuff when we're not wrestling our dual meets. We're getting guys 3 or 4 matches in a day in the room in a controlled environment, so we still stay ready to go, because we're gonna have to, in order to qualify for nationals, you're gonna have to win, 3 or 4, maybe 5 matches to get to the national tournament.
And another kind of same person who emailed that question in, just talk about the strength of the MIAA in wrestling. I know it's always been really, really tough, and looks like no different again this season.
No different this season. Central Oklahoma, outright number 1. They just won the national dual championship first week of January. I think they beat Augustana out of South Dakota 37-3 in the championship match, and I think they beat St. Cloud. They're beating everybody pretty bad right now, but it's like they just keep reloading, and they've got some guys coming off red shirt, but they're also senior heavy, where we're not senior heavy. They've got probably 7 of their 10 guys are probably 5th, maybe 6th year guys. So it's a situation where they're just in a better spot, with some maturity in the lineup, where some of these teams were, like us, we're starting, freshmen, redshirt freshmen, maybe some sophomores mixed in there. We're going to have 2 seniors in the lineup, for us the next few days. But they're always just going to be tough. They've got a lot of heritage there, and so they're competing for a national title every year. And then Kearney, they're number 2 right now in the conference, but they're number 6 in the country. They were down lower early in the year. They were trying to figure out their lineup like a lot of teams first semester. So some guys were taking losses, so they were down around 16. But they have now figured out their lineup, and I think they were 3rd at the national duels, I believe, 3rd or 4th, but they're ranked 6th in the country right now. Central Missouri and us are probably duking it out for number 3 right now. They've got a new coaching staff, and they brought in a lot of transfers when Coach Garcia took over, and then you got Newman and Ouachita. Ouachita's new to our conference this year. Kind of battling it out for that last spot, next to the last spot, but they're tough. Newman's got a really tough 165. Ouachita's got a really tough 57-pounder, and so we're all very solid. And at some point during the season, we could all be ranked in the top 25.
Well, let's talk about this week a little bit. You're right. It's challenging each and every time out. You're going to face 3 of them here in a short period of time. Newman on tomorrow. That'll be at 7 o'clock at Fugate Gym. Actually, it's going to be at in the main gym in the Don Nasser Family Plaza, hosted by Newman. And for a long time, Fort Hays State had the only wrestling program. Then all the junior colleges added it, and now Newman has added it. And that's obviously changed the landscape. And it just kind of feels like this has become a pretty big rivalry. 2 schools pretty close in proximity, both with wrestling in state. So I'm sure when you go to recruiting, you battle heads with these guys a lot, and how you do sometimes it maybe determines how you do in the recruiting wars.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wichita is probably the hotbed for wrestling in the state of Kansas right now. Kansas City's got its pockets, but most of Wichita, if you're looking at the high school kids, when you're looking at recruiting, most you got your pockets in the Kansas City area, but Wichita is really kind of the hotbed for it. So we're going head to head with these guys. We've got DeAndre Brown transferred here from Newman, just for looking for a different opportunity. So it's a situation where it is a rivalry. And we got Wichita guys in the lineup. I think we're gonna have 2 or 3 Wichita guys in there. We signed a couple Wichita kids in the last 2 years or so. So they are a big recruiting foe to us. But it is a pretty good rivalry. Because they get a lot of those Wichita area kids that stay home. So my Kansas kids know their kids. So it's always pretty hotly contested. And
you said it's always a lot of fun. And their record may not be great right now. Just a couple of duels are 0-2, but always competitive. Any key matchups? Obviously, Terrius. Everybody's always interested in how he does. Yeah. But any key weight divisions that we should keep an eye on tomorrow night?
Oh yeah. We got to get on a roll early. DeAndre Brown. Him going back into Newman since transferring here, it's going to be important that we keep him kind of emotionally in check, because he can get kind of worked up, and but when he's on. But it's going to be a tough matchup because he's got to probably wrestle Dylan Shaler, who he had some really close wrestle-offs with over the last 2 years when he was down there. So that's going to be important for us to get off the ground running there with 125 with him. Probably the biggest one, 165. Cody Hicks is going to be wrestling Jace Fisher, who's ranked number 7 right now, I believe. That kid's having a great year. He's had a great career. He's a national qualifier last year. I think he lost in the blood round at nationals. But it's a winnable match for Cody if Cody's feeling good and firing on all cylinders. Obviously that kid's going to be amped up because it's a rivalry. But Cody's got the potential to catch you and do some pretty funky things. And if he can pull that one off, that's going to be huge for us. Obviously, Terrius has got to do what he's got to do. But, some of those, we're going to have Hunter Harrison at 157, and it's going to be a big match for him. He's going to be filling in for Casey Lindsay, who unfortunately ended his season with a knee injury. But Hunter's had a really good couple weeks of practice and looking pretty good. So if he can get on the ball at 157, I think we can hopefully put it out of reach by heavyweight. That's kind of our goal.
And then maybe just a quick overview on Sunday. By the way, that you can watch that. It'll be on the MIAA network. Then Sunday in Warrensburg, Ouachita Baptist at 1:30, and then Central Missouri at 4:30 at the Balti on the UCM campus. Just a little bit of preview of those two. Obviously, we talked about Central Missouri being good. They're ranked this week, but a quick overview of what's up on tap for Sunday.
Yeah. Ouachita, they're a relatively new program. They're kind of in that learning curve. They've got some solid guys. Their 157 is really tough. He had a pretty good run at the Midwest Classic, I think. They've got a really solid 97 who's been up and down. So, and Terrius wrestled him last year. Guy kept it close early, but once Terrius got on a roll, I think he ended up tech falling the guy like 19-1 or 19-2 or something like that. But they've got some bright spots in their lineup, so we're gonna have to be on our A game. On paper we look like we should win that one, but we're gonna be down a guy or two. So, but Central Missouri, getting into the rankings this week, they've got a really tough 184-pounder. Who made the finals at the Midwest Classic. So Matt Rodriguez is going to have a tough one there. They wrestled in the very first round, and he tech falled Matt, but Matt was kind of deer in the headlights first time wrestling at the Midwest Classic. So it was kind of a tough go for him. But he got on a roll after that and beat some good guys. But so 184 is a big one there. Their 133 is nationally ranked. Tommy Frezza, he's about 5 feet tall, 133 pounds of rock solid muscle, and he was another guy who won a couple matches at the national tournament last year. So Kevin Honus will be the guy at that weight, so he's got to kind of keep it close. And it's one of those situations where we got to make that one individual bout last as long as possible, because Kevin's got a good motor if he can get over the hurdle early. Yep. But if we wrestle to our best of our ability over the next 3 duels, I feel like we could potentially go 3-0, but we could very easily go the other way if we're not firing on all cylinders. So we're gonna do some Jedi mind tricks over the next couple days and try to get these guys firing on all cylinders.
If you got the Jedi mind tricks going, how can you not go 3-0? Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow in Wichita and then in Warrensburg on Sunday, and looking forward to rehashing it next week, and hopefully we're talking about a 3-0.
That's the plan.
There you go. That's Eric Wentz, head wrestling coach at Fort Hays State, again tomorrow, 7 o'clock in Wichita, and then 1:30 and 4:30 on Sunday in Warrensburg, and they'll all be on the MIAA network. Tiger Talk brought to you today by the Hayes-Med Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Learn more at hayesmed.com/orthopedics. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some women's basketball. Talia Cars joins us next on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. Brings it up top of the key, puts her fist in the air, plays to Galladay left wing. Sydney a pump fake, dribbles at the foul line. Now back to Megan, another 3. Swish! She put it in. Megan Ernie with 11. Her second 3 of the quarter. 56-53, Fort Hays State. Megan Ernie's given a big spark off the bench today. Yeah, big day for Megan on Saturday as the Tiger women knock off Nebraska Kearney up at the Health and Sports Center. Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We're right at the bottom of the hour before we talk some women's basketball with Coach Cars. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.
Whether it's beer, wine, or spirits, pick up a winner at either of the 2 convenient Kaiser Liquor locations in Hays. Kaiser Liquor and 14 KEYS Hays.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're at the Robbins Center, part of Tiger Club today. Good to have you aboard as we talk women's basketball with Coach Talia Cars. Tigers' big road win, 70-68 on Saturday, knocking off the Lopers of Nebraska Kearney, and kind of lived up to the billing. I mean, this was a heavyweight fight, back and forth. You overcame a deficit right before halftime, had a little bit of everything in it, and obviously it was a big road win for your squad Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it was. I think it helped us gain a lot of confidence again, winning a close game, and I thought we did a great job defensively to close out the game of honing in on what they were trying to do and really just communicating with each other and working as a team to get stops down to the end of the game.
We heard the highlight from Megan Ernie. Obviously, she was big. She scored. They had her officially for 10 points. I had her for 11, but whatever. But Yeah, I'm sure she does. Yes, likes my scoring better. But a big shot in the arm off the bench for her, and you kind of touched on it after the game. Her minutes, probably not where they were at the beginning of the year, but yet she's ready to go. And if she doesn't have that little spurt, you probably don't win the game because it was starting to get away from you, and she hit a couple of threes and got you right back in that thing.
Yeah, Megan does a great job of understanding what we're trying to do and getting the ball where it needs to go, and then she's starting to make some shots again, and so that's huge when it comes down to the end of the game, is that she hit those shots late in the second or first half and early in the second half, and she's just always ready to go. And the cool thing about Megan is on defense especially is that she could guard the 2-man all the way up to the 5-man because she just has a knack for where the ball's trying to get, and she does a great job of recognizing that and getting there and trying not to let it happen.
And drew a big charge in that game as well in the first half of that contest. You fell behind by 8 and you got it to within 3 at halftime. That had to be huge for the psyche to get back in that game because it was starting to maybe creep away a little bit there late in the second quarter.
Yeah, and the second quarter has been consistently not a great quarter for us, and so for me as the coach, trying to figure out, okay, how can we keep that from being a deficit every game? And so I think we did a great job of executing what we needed to execute and getting points on the board, getting the right people in the game at the right time, and we did a good job of closing the gap at halftime.
Well, we did have a couple of questions, and one of them, you kind of touched on it, but last year's team, a lot of close games, and you came up on the short end of most of those. You've had some close ones this year. I mean, Missouri Western, you didn't win it, but you were right there. You get a 2-point win up in Kearney. What's the difference this year, or have you been able to tell a difference with this group compared to last group? Because it's primarily the same group, but it seemed like you're having a little bit better success in these tight games down the wire.
Honestly, a lot of times it's the basketball gods. If you look at last year's games, man, we guarded like crazy, and they would hit just a lucky shot. We got really good looks late in the games, just they didn't go in. So I think last year it comes down to that. Like, we were doing everything we could do, and it wasn't our time. And it does help when you've won. We won one early against Mesa, and then this one, obviously it does boost you a little bit and makes them realize, okay, we can do this, and gives you a little bit of confidence. But it's up to fate a lot of times if the ball's going to go in the hoop or not. And so far, so good.
We did have a couple of more questions, although one of them more of a comment, but you'd mentioned, especially after the Southern game, you took a lot of the blame for that big run and not getting the right people in, but the emailer wants to congratulate you down the stretch, knowing you had fouls to give. You fouled Kearney, made them burn some time, and just how you played the last minute and a half with that, you made some good decisions. Just your thoughts on how you handle that and how your team is handling some of these situations.
Yeah, they did a great job. That's not something we've necessarily practiced. They understood. Luckily, we'd watched what they were trying to do to that timeout before that, so we kind of knew what their goal was. So we talked about it, and we said that this is what they're going to try to do, so when they start to do that, let's foul. And Brooke specifically was guarding the ball and did a great job of understanding that, and I commend Taylor and Paige both. They're just spurting ideas at me as we're going into the timeout. They're saying this and this and this, and I've said, okay, let's do this. And so I appreciate them too, that they see different things and understand different things, and we all just kind of put our brains together as quick as we can, and the girls executed it super well.
And in Sydney, did you tell her to miss that last free throw? Because knowing, I mean, in Kearney, they had 2 timeouts, and they elected right under the minute mark to take one, and then they got down the stretch, and they had no timeouts. Significant because you could call it rebound and advanced into the front court. They were unable to do that. Did you tell her that? Or was it on her own to miss it? Because obviously it's a lot harder when you're trying to go off the rebound with the little time that was left.
Yep. Jill, their point guard, spends so much time in the gym that I didn't want the basketball gods to give her a good one and just give her a heave and just throw up a half-court shot and throw it into the buzzer. So I thought if they had to rebound it, then shoot it, there was no chance it was going to happen. So I did ask her to miss it. She made sure that everybody knew she tried to miss it, I think.
It was a line drive, yeah.
She wasn't going to hit the rim, but she hit the rim and executed it well, and we came out on top.
Yeah, that's the key to that. Got to hit the rim or they'll still get inbounded. One other observation, you did call a timeout when they were making a little run in the second quarter. You haven't done that a lot this year. I know Coach Hobson didn't do that a lot either. Do you have a strategy? Is it a feel? Just kind of your thoughts on when do you use some of those timeouts in those runs, and when do you let your team try to play through it?
Yeah, it's hard because you do get to save those to the end of the game, and you do get to build those up and advance it and get opportunities to score. But I also see in those second quarters, especially, we're making runs. We don't have an opportunity to do that at the end of the game where we need a timeout because we're close. And so, in my thinking on that is, I don't want to get too big of a deficit that we can't come back, and if we have a big deficit, we're not going to use them anyway, so we might as well use it right now. And so that was kind of my thought against Kearney is, I've got to get this stopped. We've got to settle down. We've got to get a shot go in the basket and then get a stop on the other end.
But it worked. You cut that 8-point deficit down to 3, and you eventually go on and get the win. I thought Olivia had a good game, and it was tough early. She picked up 2 fouls quick, and we talked about it. It was – the officiating was interesting, and give that crew credit. At the end of the first quarter, they huddled up, and they called it differently, and I thought they did a much better job because there was going to be a lot of players fouling out if they called it the way they did early on and what was a foul. But Olivia, unfortunately, got those 2 early. You put her in later in that first half, almost like you do at the end of a game, offense for defense, and thought you did a good job to avoid that 3rd foul, but yet was able to help you cut that deficit down with her being on the floor.
Yeah, Liv's hard to guard, and so when I feel like she has an opportunity to score, we need to get her in the game and get her a shot, and she did a good job on defense of making sure that they didn't score, and they were small, and so I wasn't as worried about her getting a foul because they weren't going to try to go into anybody inside. But she did a good job of going in and doing what we needed her to do in that moment, and we got a good shot for her, and it worked out in our favor.
I thought your team showed some toughness, both physical and mental toughness in this game.
Yeah, definitely. That was an advantage for Kearney, is that they play really physical. We were probably a little more athletic than they were, but they pushed us around a lot and really got inside really well. And but we did a good job of battling back in that second half.
Well, nice win for the Tigers, 70-68, still tied for second in what is still a log jam in the MIAA. And big week this week, Washburn tomorrow, Emporia State Saturday, couple of rivalry games. Should be a lot of fun, and we're going to preview those in just a little bit. Tiger Talk brought to you in part by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hazen Ellis. You can visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. We'll take a break, talk some more women's basketball with Talia Cars right after this timeout. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game, plus catch every NFL game with the NFL Sunday Ticket. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go, or use DoorDash. Then when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin, bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hayes.
In low to Liv, goes up, scores, and it fouled. It bounced on the rim 3 times and dropped, and Hollenbeck a chance for a 3-point play. Tigers are back up 1, 13 for Liv, and she's now passed Kelly Priest, 17th on the all-time scoring list for Hollenbeck, 1,184 points on that bucket. She'll try to add to that mark right here with a free throw. And she did. She hit the free throw. That was a 3-point play that gave the Tigers the lead for good. They got a couple of free throws from Brooke Levy to keep the Lopers at bay, and then obviously they got a stop, and then Sydney hit one of those 2 free throws to seal the 2-point victory. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's brought to you in part by the Taco Shop. Whether you order by phone, use their handy app, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, you've never had it so good. It's the Taco Shop. They've been a Hayes tradition since 1970. Rivalry 2 weeks continues, almost 3 weeks for Fort Hays State. Kind of uncanny. You had Pitt, and then a week later you have Kearney. Then you'll have Washburn and Emporia here this week. Your 4 traditional rivals. Obviously, Central Missouri could get thrown in there, but your 4 traditional geographic rivals in state and nearby, all in a row. And this is a big week. And obviously, you look at the conference standings. Every game is a big game, but you're back at home. You're a game out. You've got Western, that Northwest trip trip next week. But the way, going into Saturday, it was like one game from 1st or 9th. I mean, it's just a crazy race, and it really doesn't matter who you play. Every game is huge, and now you get Washburn at home and an Ichabod team that's playing pretty well. They were very impressive, and they went over Pittsburgh State on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I think we gave hurt Pitt's feelings or something, because they went 0-2 last week and gave Emporia and Washburn some confidence, and so both of them are playing really good coming into this week, and so they're both tough games.
Yeah, 11 wins for Washburn. That was their total a year ago, and obviously we still have a little over a month to go. A team that shoots it pretty well. I mean, they run good stuff. They got a second-year head coach in Laura Westling. Just a bit of a scouting report. What has impressed you about the Ichabod so far this season?
Dewey does a great job as a point guard position.
Yeah.
She's handles it really well and can create it for her own shot. So she's another point guard we got to really be aware of. And then their 5-man is a sophomore that starts, and she is kind of unorthodox, but just so strong that we really got to be aware of her, as well as their other 3 shooters, because they kind of play 4 guards instead of having a true 4-man. So they're all on the perimeter, and she's kind of inside. And
that obviously puts a little pressure on your defense. But you have to and you mentioned a good point guard. I thought you faced a real good one in Kearney. She's just a sophomore, really, really talented. Seems like all the really good teams in this conference have that, and that's not a big surprise. But defensively, your guards kind of liken that challenge a little bit. You can kind of see a little bit, and with Brooke and Sydney, the way they get after defensively, that you got to be confident going up against somebody good like that you have a chance to at least hold them in check.
Yeah, for sure. And it's nice that we can kind of cycle through people, and people guard different. Mm-hmm. So the point guard can get used to somebody, and then I throw somebody else at them, and then they got to get used to them. And size is always an advantage for us too. Both of them, Jillian and then Dewey, both are a little bit smaller. So that helps us, is that we can keep our feet back and use our length a little bit on her too. And she's good.
A little bit about Emporia, Coach Osterman taking over. They've kind of been up and down. It's got some new faces, but they've had some big wins along the way. Certainly, when they're on, they're very capable of beating anybody in the conference. Yeah,
they have a bunch of really good shooters too. And then they play a little zone, which we haven't seen a lot this year as years in the past. And so we'll plan on seeing that on Saturday a little bit. So we'll plan for that. And they have a really small 5-man starting right now. Their 5-man was hurt, and so they start about 5'10" at the beginning of the game. And she's really athletic, so I think it'll be a good matchup for us on offense, especially. But then they bring in a really big girl off the bench now, and I think she's healthier, so she'll probably play a little bit more against us. And so that will be something that we just have to change what we're doing depending on how they're playing.
All right, should be a lot of fun. Washburn tomorrow night, Emporia State Saturday afternoon. Hope to get a big crowd out at Gross Memorial Coliseum. Coach, as always, we appreciate the time. Looking forward to the games this weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow night out at GMC.
Thanks, Jordan.
There you go. Talia Cars, head coach of the Fort Hays State women. Again, 5:30 tomorrow night, 2 o'clock on Saturday as the Tigers take on the Ichabods and the Lady Hornets. Fort Hays State Athletics invite you to join Tiger fans with the plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We'll take a break. We'll talk men's basketball with head coach Mark Johnson next. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here. It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Hammocky cross court to Jaheim. He'll shoot a 3. He put it in from the right wing. Jaheim Holden's first bucket. It's a big 3, and the Tigers are up 5, 43-38. Yeah, Fort Hays State ends up winning by 8 Saturday, 57-49 over the Lopers. They're now 13-4, 8-3 in the conference, tied for second place, a game back of Northwest Missouri State. Welcome back to a Tiger Talk. Do want to tell you the conference tournament's going to be here before you know it, and the Fort Hays State Alumni Office always has a great event at Boulevard Brewing Company. It'll be their 5th annual, and a lot of the Kansas City area alums know about it, but it's open if you're in the Hays area planning to head on out to the MIAA tournament. It's going to be on Tuesday, March 5th at Boulevard from 5:30 until 8:30. You can contact the Alumni Office for more information. We also have, for those in attendance, some cards back behind us. It's got a QR code. You can get all the details and get registered, but always kind of a fun primer event to get you ready for the MIAA tournament, which if it's anything like the MIAA regular season, boy, hold on tight. It's going to be crazy. You got a big win as we bring in head coach Mark Johnson. Big win on Saturday, and boy, you look up and it's just a log jam. I don't think I remember a race quite like this. We're now right at the midway point, moving to the second half, where there's so many teams so close together this late into the conference season.
Yeah, this is about as much depth as I can remember that we've had in the league in a long time, and like we've always said, I think that's the strength of the league is the depth, but we have so many good teams this year. It's pretty crazy how it's all going to play out. It'll be interesting. There's still a lot of, we're halfway point, and I think there's 6 teams that are still have just as good a chance as anybody to win the regular season conference championship. And even us at 8-3, we're still not a lock to make the conference tournament. We still have to win a few more games to do that. I think it's going to take minimum 10 games. There might even be 11-11 just to get in, 10 out of 14. But I think definitely 10 will have to. You have to win at least 10 to get in. So it's kind of crazy that this is happening, but a lot of good teams, and our next 2 weeks will determine if we can hang in there to try to win a regular season conference championship. We're playing, taking ourselves away from that. 3 of our next 4 games are against the top 3 teams in the league. Emporia is one of the more talented teams. I know they're frustrated with their record, and it shows you how good the league is. Emporia is probably going to come in here at 500 in our conference, and their individual talent offensively is as good as recent memory of teams that we face. So big challenge for our guys, and starts tomorrow.
Well, you got a big win Saturday up in Kearney. Raced out to a 10-0 lead. That was kind of the difference in the game. Pretty even after that. In fact, they outscore you by 2 the rest of the way. Just goes to show you never know. But you hit some shots, they missed some shots, and that ends up being the difference. You never relinquished the lead. They made a couple of runs at you, but the first 4 or 5 minutes was kind of the difference.
Yeah, obviously you would like to get out to a 10-0 lead, but in reality, that's I tell our guys that all the time after that team takes that time out. You very rarely ever see a team be up 10-0 and go on to win big. I feel like most blowouts, it's kind of back and forth, and then after about 10 minutes, you start separating and getting when you win by 30. Most times when it's 10-0, 8-2, the other team seems to always come back. So always telling your guys, don't let your guard down. And I don't think we did. It's just what usually happens. So sometimes it's scary getting up to a 10-0 lead. Coaching's just stupid. People don't understand.
Let me clarify. You said coaching is, not coaches are, right?
Probably a little bit both. But I'm much more nervous coaching a game in the second half with an 18-point lead than I am a back-and-forth game, because when you get up 16, 15, whatever that may be, you're like, we cannot lose this game, and you're nervous. When it's just back and forth, you're just in the moment coaching the game. You're not thinking about winning. You're just thinking about that possession. So, like I said, everybody thinks, boy, they get a big lead. It's really, no, I'm probably have more anxiety than that. So, you get up 10-0, you know what's going to happen that much in the game. It's going to be a game.
Well, they came back with a 10-2 run, got it to within 2, but never took the lead. And in those games, you have the big lead. I've noticed they put the clock on like time and a half. It just takes even longer for the clock to wind down. I thought it was big, though. Kearney made some good runs at you. They're a good shooting team, but you never let them get the lead. Never even let them tie the game. I think psychologically that's always big.
Yeah, I was surprised we were able to shut them down. They're a good offensive team. Our guys, once again, make guys look worse than they really are. They have not struggled to score against anybody all year. Our guys really, they know the importance of you can't lose back-to-back games. It's how you respond after a loss. And our guys, I thought, were really energetic and had a lot of played with a motor and were physical and really made it hard on Kearney and all that. And then our guys just, made some plays they had to make. We were having a hard time scoring. They got close. Caleb got a steal and a dunk, and then B got a steal, pitched it up to Sean and a dunk. At that stage, about the only shots we were possibly going to make was a dunk, and we had to do what we had to do. That's 2 years in a row we go up there and just really struggle to score. They really get the help on us. Anytime you drive, they put 5 guys in the paint and force us to make threes, and we were 5 of 22, and we're just, it is what it is. I mean, Washburn's going to do the same thing. Kearney was second to last in three-point field goal percentage defense on the year in our conference. Washburn's 13. They're second to last. They give up a high percentage percentage from three, and that's pretty much what you probably should do to us, and they're probably going to do that tomorrow. So hopefully we get to our home gym where we shoot on every day and have a little more confidence and just need some more to go. And, B, I thought turned the corner at home. Lincoln and Central, he went 6 of 10, and he's really struggled since then, and really our whole team has struggled. RJ is going to attempt to play. We've shut him down for a while. I feel like he's a little bit better physically. How far he can go, I don't know, but he will play tomorrow somewhat, and at least he's just another option. I really think when healthy, he's our best shooter, but at least he gives us another guy that might possibly make a perimeter shot.
Good to see Trajan. I know he's been battling with a back issue all year and grinding through, but 8 points, 8 rebounds for him. Those rebounds were obviously big. You did a good job on the glass against Kearney, but it's good to see him kind of put numbers that he had been doing before that back flared up.
Yeah, he's moving better too. I thought he moved a little bit quicker, and Trey's that guy, and he hasn't been able to do that for us just from a physical standpoint. But he's a guy, like we said last year and going in this year, he's going to get you 7 points, five rebounds every night. He's not going to get you 10 rebounds most nights. He's not going to get you 20, but he's going to get us 7 and 5 and find a way. And he's really just kind of he frustrates the other team. He's just kind of that one guy you got to have on your team. He's just kind of a nuisance to the other team. And I thought he guarded better. I thought that was the biggest thing. He was able to move around and guard better, and hopefully he starts feeling better the rest of the way.
Well, the Tigers are back at home, as Coach mentioned, and it begins a key 2-week stretch. Washburn tomorrow, Emporia on Saturday, and then on the road at Western and Northwest next week. We'll preview the Ichabods, who are right there tied with the Tigers in the conference at 8-3. We'll do that when we come back. And to remind you, the Tiger Talk brought to you in part today by BTI, your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. We'll take our final break, preview the Ichabods, who come to town tomorrow night. We'll do that next right here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PWC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
5:44 to go. Fort Hays State by 9. Now Janssen steals it away. Keeps it in bounds to Riley for the two-handed dunk. What a play by Fort Hays State. Janssen got a steal. Somehow kept that ball from going out of bounds at midcourt. Got it ahead to Riley for the dunk. And the Tigers are back up by 11. Yeah, that was a little stretch there. Back-to-back steals and dunks kind of put that one away. Tigers beat the Lopers on Saturday, 57-49. Now back at home for the weekend. They'll take on Washburn tomorrow night and then Emporia State on Saturday afternoon. You kind of touched on it. Washburn, just like you, 8-3 in the conference. Had some new players. They've got some young guys, and they maybe struggled a bit early out of the gates because of that, but really playing well, really shoot the ball well. I think you said it well after the game. They're the anti-Tigers. I mean, they light it up from perimeter.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've won 7 of their last 8 out of 8 of their last 10. They got a new transfer point guard. They have a freshman 2 guard. So I think it took them a few weeks of the season to gain their stride and get comfortable. But, offensively, they have Andrew Orr. They have the best back-to-the-basket big guy in the league. We're going to have a hard time handling him one-on-one. Connor's going to have to get out there and play a little bit more than some other games because physically he's the only guy we have that can size-wise match up. And then they, at one point, they were leading the nation in three-point shooting. Again, I don't know where they're at now, but they're still leading our league. So they shoot the ball well. They have an inside presence, and they're dominating the glass. Their offensive rebounds are #1, rebound margin #1. So, like I said, we're going to have a hard time stopping them. When we do, we have to get the rebound. Rebound would be vital because, like I say, nothing's more demoralizing when you finally grind out a stop and they get the offensive rebound. So it'll be a big test, but again, we're on our home floor, and our guys are going to bring it, and we'll see if it's good enough.
That sounds good. Should be a lot of fun. Always is when the Tigers take on the Bods. Coaches, always appreciate the time. We'll see you tomorrow night. Should be a fun one.
All right, thanks, Rick.
There you go. That's Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers. Again, Fort Hays State, Washburn, 5:30, 7:30. We're on the air at 5:05 with the Auto World pregame show, and then Saturday afternoon, 2 and 4 o'clock with Emporia State. That's going to wrap up Tiger Talk today. It is brought to you by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, and the Taco Shop. We hope to see you out at the Coliseum. If not, be sure to listen, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday for Tiger Talk. So long, everyone. Voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk Wednesday afternoons at 12:10 on KAYS. The show is part of the weekly Tiger Club meetings live from the Robbins Center on the Fort Hays State campus and brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, and BTI, your area John Deere dealer. That's Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club Wednesdays at 12:10 on 94.3 FM and 1400 AM KAYS.